This video is not going near like I intended for it to when I started out. Okay, I'm going to go back to something because during editing I noticed something. I want to make this point again. I'm going to read to you 2 Timothy chapter 4 verse 2 begins like this. Preach the word. That's Paul talking to his young charge, Timothy. He says, preach the word. And then the second part of that, I'm going to paraphrase that. He says, do it now. Do it every chance you get. Teach and tell the truth. Be persistent about it. And then verse 3, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers. And right there's a comma. Teachers, comma. When I'm reading that to you, you can't see that comma, but it makes a difference. They will heap to themselves teachers, comma. And then it says, having itching ears, they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. So the having itching ears, if you're just hearing somebody read that, you might think the teachers have itching ears, and that's not what he's saying. He said they're going to go find teachers because they have itching ears, and they're going to find teachers that scratch their itch. They don't want teachers that tell them the truth. They want teachers that tell them what they want to hear. That comma is significant. Okay, I'm going to apologize to you yet again about even making this video. This video, which became 3 videos, a series called Itching Ears. But I had to make this final edit because it was just too perfect. It's not about buying antiques, or it's not about family heirlooms or family stories or family values, the kind of things the hard guy usually talking about. It's not about that. But the video started about being about finding the truth. That's what I started talking about, and I got off on some tangents, and you know what happened. But after I'd conceived the idea, after I'd mulled it over for a week or two in my mind, after I said, okay, I'm going to make the video, and I sat down and made the video one day wearing a Rumble shirt, and then had to edit it 3 or 4 times to get clarity. After all that, on the national media, something happened that perfectly illustrated this thing that I'm calling itching ears. I didn't actually call it that. Paul did, the Apostle Paul. This itching ears thing, a perfect illustration of it happened in real time, real life. And I couldn't let that go. I'm going to have to make it part of this video. I'm going to mention some names to you. The first name I'm going to mention is Rachel Maddow. The next name I'm going to mention is Sean Hannity. And then I'm going to mention a third name, Ronna McDaniels. I want to talk about Ronna McDaniels first. Ronna McDaniels, most of you listening to this video probably have no idea who Ronna McDaniels is. If I had her picture up here, probably very few of you would recognize her face. Okay? So I'm going to tell you what she is, and this is my opinion of what she is. She is an intelligent, competent, knowledgeable woman who understands the subject matter about what she's talking about, has lots of knowledge, and knows lots of facts and figures about what she might be asked to comment on. And she could do it in such a way that was very effective, and if you were debating her and trying to take the opposite view from her, you would have to be prepared. You would have to be equally competent and equally knowledgeable, and you would have to be skilled at presenting your information. Or she's going to make you look like you're not skilled, you're not competent, you're not knowledgeable. That's who Ronna McDaniel is. Now, many of you know who Sean Hannity is. Sean Hannity is not a journalist, not a news person. He is one of these people who host a show on a conservative network called Fox, and his total purpose in life is to present those people who watch Fox with itching ears. His purpose in life is to tell them what they want to hear on Fox News. Sometimes it's right on. Sometimes it's not so right on, but it always is presented in a way that they want to hear it. If he doesn't have anything to say that they want to hear, he doesn't say that. If the actual what's going on is not what they want to hear, you're not going to hear it on Fox News from Sean Hannity. Okay? And those of you who know Sean Hannity and who he is, I don't care which side you're on, you know that what I just said is accurate. That's what Sean Hannity is. Who's Rachel Maddow? Well, Rachel Maddow is that same person on MSNBC. She's their star. She's the one on there for the people who tune in regularly to MSNBC with itching ears. She's the one that tells them what they want to hear. And if it's not what they want to hear, they're not going to hear it from Rachel Maddow. She will omit that from her conversations. She will definitely be slanted with everything she's talking about to her viewers' itching ears side of the issue. Okay? And it doesn't matter whether you're a Fox fan or an MSNBC fan, you know what I just said is accurate about Rachel Maddow and about Sean Hannity. I'm not saying that this McDaniels lady isn't biased one way or the other. I'm not saying that. She isn't. I will say she's not nearly as biased as either one of these people I'm talking about. And she doesn't have a program where she's just only going to appear to their biases. She is what I said she was. She's a knowledgeable person about things, and she was hired by a network to be a contributor, to take an issue and discuss it. And the people on MSNBC Rachel Maddow and her associates, her other MSNBC anchors and commentators and news people and opinionators, all were in an uproar over her hire. All of them were. Don't take my word for that. Go to any network you want to. Go to any of the major networks. Go to Fox Network. Go to MSNBC. Go anywhere you want. And see what their reaction was to her being hired by their company. She was evil incarnate. She was going to destroy their reputation of the fine, upstanding position that their network had if she were allowed to be on it. And they weren't going to stand for it. They weren't going to let her soil their integrity and get on their network and tell lies. That's pretty much what they said. And their top executives at NBC and MSNBC, in less than a week, before the woman ever got on the first program or uttered the first sentence, they fired her. And now the final thing is, you're going to get my opinion. Their opinion was she was going to ruin their reputation and she was unworthy to be on their network among all the truth purveyors that they had on the network already. This woman doesn't meet the standard. That was what they said. What I'm saying, and again, I'll tell you, this is my opinion. What they really feared was what I've just illustrated to you with this little story. Most people don't know her. Most people wouldn't recognize her. Most people wouldn't recognize her name or her face. And if she gets on our network, she immediately has the credibility to our viewers of being on our network. And we can't just point to her and say, evil, 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 like we would Sean Hannity, or evil, 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 like we would some other opponent of ours that's on some other network that all our people already know they're supposed to hate. We would actually have to be prepared. We would actually have to do our homework. We would actually have to be good at our jobs. We would actually have to be competent and intelligent and articulate. If you get her on our network and let her say things without our people immediately seeing red. And some of our people might hear something that she said. They're not going to hear anything Sean Hannity says because they know to hate him. They know to discredit him. But this person, they don't know. And she might get to say something that all of a sudden they hear, something they'd never heard before, because we don't allow them to hear it on this network. And they might say, that makes sense. Why haven't I heard that before? And then, oh my God, they might dig. They might say, I need to know what's really true here. And they might try to find out what the truth is. What are we going to do about that? That's what really happened there. And it could have happened either way, you know. But I'm saying, in real life, last week, that's what happened at MSNBC. Don't take my word for it. Go check it out. So, let's go back to this. I told you that you can find truth here if you want to. Now, the best way to do that is have a sincere desire to find truth, then look at it without any preconceived notions and hear what it says And then some of it, here and everywhere really, some of it is so plain, so easy to determine what is being said that there is no argument. There isn't any argument. Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. I believe that. Could it mean something else? Well, what does it say? No, it couldn't. It couldn't mean something else. It's plain. There's enough stuff like that in here that you can find, that you can build your life on and make your decisions with. There's enough stuff like that. So plain, so easy, so obvious, so true, that if you can just do those things, I promise you, things will go so much better for you than they're going now. You'll be making your decisions based on the best information there is. Now, there are things in here it's hard to understand. There's things in here that I don't understand, and I want to, and I've tried to for years. Still not sure. Can't get it. Don't understand it. Don't get hung up on those things. Keep looking for the answer, but don't let your life get messed up because you can't find it. Because people tell you all kinds of stuff nowadays. Some of it's, I don't know how they get away with telling you this, but they do. People are trying to say that you can decide whether you're a man or you're a woman. That's not what it says in here. And that is so out of the realm of reality. That is so, I just can't get there. I can't get to how people got that confused. How people can't find truth there. I can't get there. But, I mean, that's just an example, and there's probably better examples than that. I told you I bought this at an auction. I thought it was a book written recently, and and one day I sat down to read it, and one of the first things I ran across in it was he was talking about an article published in Time. And those of you that don't know what Time is, and some of you young people don't know what Time is, to me it's when somebody says it was published in Time, I know what they're talking about. They're talking about a magazine called Time, T-I-M-E. I don't know whether, it's probably not even being published anymore. You know, most magazines have gone by the wayside, but there was a magazine, a rather influential one, and people subscribed to it, and millions of people read it. And they published an article. And here's what the article said. This was on the cover of the magazine. Time raised a ruckus when it printed this question in red block letters against a black background on its cover. Is God dead? It was a shocking cover posing a shocking question, and that question took root in the public dialogue of the day. Scientists, preachers, insurance agents, housewives, everyone from New York to California was drawn into the discussion. Is God dead? The article indicated that God was dead. It was time to get over God. We didn't need that. And that was in April 1966. I was 19 years old in 1966. Just got out of high school. Been out of high school about a year. In April of 1966. Not quite a year since I'd graduated from high school. And then this book, and that's in the introduction to the book that he talks about that. And then this book goes on, and he talks, this Phil Robertson. This book gives you all kinds of situations and things that people are saying and lies that are being told. And he lists 10 lies that are destroying our country. The theft of America's soul. 10 lies that they're telling. And he wrote, this book is talking about something that happened in 1966. And some of the things that he's talking about, I'm going, no way were people thinking that in 1966. I was alive in 1966. That didn't happen. That started much later with these crazy people. But no. He gives me time after time after time of this is what happened. This was what they were trying to accomplish. And this has been the result of it. And it's got them to a later time. See if I can figure out when he wrote this book. I don't see it. I don't see a copyright. There it is, copyright. 2019. This book's copyrighted in 2019. So 5 years ago, he was talking about these things. And he was talking about them happening in 1966, in 1967, in 1968, 1972. How these things happened and how we got to a place in our country where things that we thought could never happen, happened. And then his solution, his argument, his premise for his book that he wrote was take these 10 lies that they started with in 1966 and before and permeated in our society, that we let these things happen. Here's one that's you see happening today all the time. He says the lie, this is number 7. Lies can be, the lie is this: laws can be ignored or changed if they are inconvenient. And you think that in and of itself is just a totally stupid thing to say. And ignorant, the person that said that can't possibly be informed. But guess what? It happens every day. It's happening on our border right now. Has been for years and years and years. And what we can do about it or what we should have done about it, that depends on which side of the issue you're on today. But I can tell you this, nobody on either side of the issue's done what they should have done years and years and years ago. And today, I mean, the truth is, now the truth has changed. One side used to say the truth was this, now they're saying the truth is the exact opposite of that, and they're both like that. He says, in this book, he tries to make the point, law and order come from the Word of God. And he has a whole chapter devoted to that. But just think about that. Laws can be ignored or changed if they're inconvenient, and that's just exactly how people act. Our people in control, in power, today. They just act like that if I don't like that law, I cannot enforce that one right now. I can make up something else to do. And the first one was God is dead. He said God is not dead. The third one, he says the truth is relative. In other words, it's only true if. There are situations where that's not true. There are situations where you can change the truth because. And he's saying there is absolute truth. There is such a thing as absolute truth, and it comes from God. And there is such a thing as absolute truth. I'm telling you that. And you got to have it to make good decisions in life. Now you can decide for yourself where to find it, I guess, but you need to understand that truth is absolute. And there's only one truth. There's only one thing that's 100% this is true. And you need to know what that is when you go to make decisions. His final thing in this book he comes up with is what I'm going to leave you with. And there's going to be people that say he just lied to you. So you're going to have to do just like you do with every other thing. You're going to have to investigate it, see what you think of it, make your own decision about it. But there is a God. I'm absolutely certain of that. And this book tells me that. I should have prepared myself better, and I didn't know I was going to say what I just said, but this book tells you that you can't just go outside and look around and not know there's a God. Nature reveals God to us. God is revealed to all of us. This book says God revealed himself to all of us. None of us have an excuse to say there isn't a God now. And there's lots of people that say, I agree with that, there is a God, and then they tell you who the God is. And it's not always the same thing. I believe it's Jehovah God in this book. There is a God. You need to find out who he is. I think he's the Jehovah God in this book. I think he's the triune God in this book. There's a Godhead, there's the Son, and the Holy Spirit. I have searched diligently for the answer to that question. So, I'm not just blindly accepting something somebody told me. I've looked at lots of other books, lots of other gods. That's what I've come up with. And the man that wrote this book, he agrees with me. He said, there is a God. It is the God of the Bible. And here's the key point that he makes here. He's trying to encourage us. God is still in control. He's still in control. And the answers that we need, the solutions that are there for us, the things that are going to change our lives and help us in our pursuit of happiness and purpose and well-being in our lives, that we see Paul warned Timothy 2,000 years ago, these things are coming. People need the truth. Tell them the truth. And he mentioned a list of things that Timothy probably couldn't fathom those things happening. And now I'm telling you, today you can turn on any news media you want to, and you can find all kinds of things that you could not believe. I don't care which side of the issue you're on. You don't have to be on my side. There's things going on that you cannot believe. How can this be happening? What are we going to do? Well, I can tell you something. The President of the United States, whoever he is, the senators, whoever they are, the representatives, whoever they are, the members of the Supreme Court, whoever they are, they can't fix it for us. If you're thinking that's where it's going to get fixed, think again. Now you're going to say this is some pie in the sky thing that some crazy old man, 77 years old, believes in. It's his crutch. That's what you're going to say. He's leaning on that crutch of Christianity. Well, I guess that is what I'm doing. I'm leaning on that crutch. I'm holding on to that word. I'm believing that truth. That God is the God of the Bible. That He's big. Bigger than our wildest imagination. And He is in control. He has a plan. And the best thing I can do, and the best thing you, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren, my friends, or people who don't know me and don't care anything about what I'm saying, the best thing you can do is search that truth for yourself, get hold of it, and make decisions based on it. And that'll have more to do with what happens to you in your life, what happens to our country in your lifetime, than any other thing you can do. And I don't care who you vote for in the next presidential election. I have a preference. Not saying I don't. I think that those kind of things are important, but they aren't nearly as important as what I'm telling you. They aren't going to affect you and your life and the things that happen to you nearly as much as what I'm telling you. Find the truth. Make the best decision you can based on it. I'm a hard times guy. I would say less than 1% of the people who started watching this video are hearing me say this. You have a good day.